Brandon Anderson has taken advantage of the last two rounds, Dover and Martinsville, and has kicked off at least a 2-week-long winning streak. Tonight he goes for 3, but it's at a track very different than the 2 he's found victory lane at already. Will he take win number 3 today in the city in a forest, or will the bumps in the road prove too much for him in his quest for success? We're about to find out, and we'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello and welcome to the 5th round of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series presented by Shine MSD. We're kicking off the second half of the regular season tonight here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, where up in the press box you'll find yours truly, Nick Schmeg, being joined alongside by Chris Phoebe. Joe Peak is our director for this evening, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Chris, we know these trucks are tough, but sometimes in real-world racing, we've seen that Atlanta sometimes proves to be just a little tougher. Why don't you tell us a little more about what the drivers are up against tonight?
Well, Nick, this track was redesigned in the late 90s, and ever since then has been a very quick racetrack for these trucks. And another thing is, since it was redesigned in the 90s, they have not paved this track. This is a very rough and abrasive surface, a lot like racing on the top of a cheese grater. So the tires could play a big role on this one, and could, depending on how the cautions fall, we could see a lot of differing pit strategy as far as those tires and what they do with them. And now we are going to pass things down for a virtual tour of the 1.54 mile Hampton, Georgia 24-degree banked oval of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. My name is Brian Yazek and I'll be taking you for a spin around Atlanta in the GSRC Silverado. Atlanta is a fun track, very bumpy, but the drivers love it because there's plenty of room to roam around this 1.5 mile oval. For your hot lap, you're going to be swinging it right through the middle of the track here, cutting the dog leg a little bit with your left side tires, driving it down into turn 1, and you're going to lift out of the throttle from full throttle down to about 90% and then get almost right back immediately into it. You're doing that just to let the nose set on the truck so it doesn't plow off of the corner. Turn 3, you're going to drive it right in until you see the yellow sign, roll out of it probably to about 60% throttle, keeping on that white line right there on the bottom, and then back into the gas and swinging it back out to the wall. As the run progresses and tires and fuel fade off, you might see guys in turns 1 and 2 take this sort of line through here. So what this will do is this doesn't put as much strain on that right front tire, and it gives it more grip through the corner. Plus, it gives you an amazing run off the backstretch, which you could potentially use to set up a pass going into turn 3. Turn 3 still on the bottom. You will hear guys roll out of that throttle all the way out just to let it set right back out to the wall and cutting the dog leg a little bit. Atlanta is going to be a blast. The Silverado trucks will create a great draft, so you're going to see a lot of great passing, a lot of great passing opportunities, and all in all, it's just going to be a great race. So, without further ado, let's get back to the action. My name is Brian Yazek, and this was a lap around the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
There you see, really getting a sense of just how rough and bumpy it is. Chris, you talked about that surface here not being reformatted, not being repaved fully since the 90s. Things that have updated since the 90s are the race details. That was a terrible transition, but I'll hand it over for you to go over them now.
All right, 113 laps on the docket this evening here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. These drivers are going to have 50% fuel to deal with, which is going to make things extra fun in this fixed setup event. No spare cars available, and we will see the Chevy Silverado and Toyota Tundras on track for round 5 of 14 for this series. And don't forget, we are closing in on the chase that begins in round 9.
Yeah, just past the halfway mark here, round 5 of 8 in the regular season. Definitely going to be fun, like you said, to see those Tundras and Silverados slide around here in the hot Georgia heat. We do have a points battle. Speaking of that chase that they're all trying to fight for, that's the top 8 in the points at the end of the regular season that will make the chase. There you see Brandon Anderson. Doesn't look like he is running tonight unless he pops in here late. He has taken the lead momentarily, but it's only 1 point above Connor Boris. Of course, these points are going to reset as they get into the chase. But Joseph Mealy there pretty comfortably in third. Scott Rickard, Jody Banfield just behind them, 4th and 5th. Jack Wells has jumped Cody Tripp by 1 spot there. 2 points separate them. Jared Mogard holding on to that bubble position. Todd Slauson, though, he's taking a peek. He's got the likes of Cole Bushman just 1 point behind him. How about William Kruska, 2 points behind him, and Connor Crichton only 4 points behind him. Definitely lots of positions up for grabs there, especially when you look back there with Slauson, Bushman, Kruska, and Crichton, and even more back there fighting for that last spot in the chase.
Now, this has been a very close series so far this year, and could see a lot of those positions that you mentioned being up for grabs. Could see a lot of flip-flopping in the point standings after this one.
Definitely could. And I mentioned Brandon Anderson going for 3 wins in a row, then said he might not be able to make it. He has just entered the practice session, thankfully, so we are going to be able to see the number 24 driver tonight, it looks like.
Well, when you've been as good as Brandon has the last couple races, maybe he feels like he doesn't need practice.
We will see. We will see just how tricky Atlanta proves to be. Speaking of practice, we are seeing that wrap up right now. We've got the likes of Josh Walker in the 58 truck on top. There's a name we haven't seen too much of this year, if any, I don't think. Jody Banfield right behind him. Billy Kruska, who had a dominant start to the race last week at Martinsville, wasn't able to finish the job, got caught up in trouble very early on. So lots of fast guys at the top. We have Jared Mogard 4th, Joseph Mealy 5th, actually tied down to the thousandths of a second, 30.878 between Mogard and Mealy. Taking a look at Cody Tripp making a trip around the track right now.
Oh, that's funny because his last name's Tripp.
Yeah.
That's clever. You're clever, Nick. Yeah, and look at that. Just 2 1,000th slower is Jack Wells, and that's a very close field we have right now. Looks like, what's that? Oh, 8 drivers within a 10th?
Yeah, pretty impressive considering just how hard it is to, the racing line here pretty similar to everyone else's, but there's only 1 or 2 ways ways to get around here quickly at Atlanta, but the bumps here and the seams that you have to run over are just so disconcerting, really. I mean, they have a tendency to jump your truck a couple half footer or so, to the left or right at any given point, especially in the turns. So very impressive to see times all bunched up together like that.
Yeah, and looks like we have 22 drivers that have checked in some way, shape, or form. So we could be looking at, I believe, a season high for car count, or truck count, I should.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty awesome to see a series like this one grow. It's still time for drivers to make runs for that chase as well. They have 1 drop week, but if they got in here a race or 2 late, definitely still in the mix. They've only got to get inside the top 8. The chase is going to be 6 races after that. Season eventually concluding at Michigan with a double points race there. Very exciting stuff in the future of this series.
Well, those double points events can always be a wild card too when you're looking to end your season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun way to end it. Puts a lot more on the line. A very IndyCar-esque format there, mixed in with the NASCAR format of the playoffs. Very, very cool to see. Taking a look at Joseph Mealy coming around right now. Just about ready to wrap up practice and head on into single car qualifying. Single truck qualifying, I should say, which the real life NASCAR Truck Series, as well as the other national series, have just restarted to do.
Yeah, who knew the solution to making qualifying interesting again was to do it how it's been done for 1,000 years. Nick, I was just doing the math here. The last time Atlanta Motor Speedway was repaved, I believe you did not even exist.
I don't think I did. No, I was definitely not if it was back in the earlier mid-90s.
Yeah, I believe it was mid-1997 that it was
No,
redesigned?
I was definitely not in the booth. That's for sure.
Was that a euphemism, or are you talking about?
I don't know. It all happened so fast. Kind of like how we switched from practice to qualifying here down in Atlanta. So we're about to see some trucks make their way out here. Take a look at the weather as well. 100 degrees at Hot Atlanta. That's the on-track temperature. The ambient temperature, mostly cloudy, 81 degrees. About 50% humidity. A little bit of a wind out of the north. Although we just wrapped up some racing at Charlotte here on the Global SimRacing Channel. So that might be some burnouts coming up from the north in Charlotte. Might see that gust die down later on.
100 degrees at a track like this too is going to make for very slick conditions once we get to racing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even in cool, grippy conditions, Atlanta is already a track that tires just absolutely hate. And, rightly so. It's an absolute tear to get around here on the equipment. Very Sebring-esque. If you're into road racing.
Yes, we got drivers making an attempt in qualifying so far. They do have 5 minutes allotted to make an attempt.
Just a couple of trucks setting times so far. Jody Banfield is the first to jump up to a competitive time. 31.3. You're watching him make his second lap. Oftentimes, the second lap here in the truck's faster than the first on these 1.5 miles, just trying to get those trucks wound up to speed.
Yeah, a lot of the trick to it is to run the first lap for momentum to get the truck wound up, so to speak, and then the second lap is where you try to perfect your line and try to run the shortest distance around the track you can to get the quickest time in the book.
Yeah, they call these 1.5 mile tracks cookie cutters sometimes. I've never really agreed with that terminology just because they really are, when you get to drive them, nothing alike to each other. Because a lot of times on the 1.5 mile, you want to take that high line around here to, like you said, build momentum. It's very hard to do that here. You end up taking a middle line just because of how bumpy it is towards the top. But it looks like it's paying off well for Jody Banfield. His first lap was the fastest. He continues to hold the pole as we're watching Scott Rickard come across here. That's going to bump him up to second.
Yeah, so looks like a 31.301 is our pole time right now. That's set by Jody Banfield, but we got drivers all over the track here trying to get in a time.
Jake Van Wazer has made his way up to third. Watching Cody Tripp now. Josh Walker has made his way up to third. That is a driver making his debut tonight. Very nice to see him out here, putting on a heck of a show early. Danny Banfield has moved up into second to join Jody in the first.
We were talking about Cody Tripp earlier. He ran pretty much that middle line that you spoke of in his qualifying attempt as he crosses the line. Does not register. Oh, there it goes. P3 on the charts. Looks like that's where everyone's going. He actually is tied to the 1,000th of a second with Danny Banfield for that third spot. Both of the 31.321.
Billy Kruska jumping up to the top of the board, knocking off Jody Banfield and his brother Danny. Cody Tripp, like he said, splitting them for the time being. So 16 times up on the board right now. A couple of drivers left to set a lap include Joseph Mealy getting out on his out lap right now. Connor Boris as well, a former winner in this series. Season opener winner. As well as Brandon Anderson, who has not gone out yet.
Connor Crichton to the top of the charts, a 31.221.
And I think that's going to do it for qualifying. The time has expired, so drivers not able to set a qualifying time going to be pushed to the back. But Connor Crichton with a late effort here Like you said, a 31-221. That's going to give him the pole position for tonight. And a bonus point, Billy Kruska once again going to be starting in second at a race here at Atlanta. Jody Banfield and Cody Tripp make up row 2 with Danny Banfield back in the 98, going to round out the top 5. He's going to be starting to the inside of Jared Mogard in that 00 truck with Scott Rickard and Josh Walker filing in behind him to make up row 4. Row 5 goes to Rory Gamble and Jake Van Wazer.
As we transition over to page 2 of your starting grid, Tyler Fode will be P11 on the charts, with Brandon Miranda making his return after a week off to be 12th. Lucky number 13 is going to be TJ McGuire in the 83 truck, with Todd Slauson in the 33 starting 14th. 15th place is going to belong to Jack Wells in the 80 truck, with Adam Courtney. TJ Fields being the last 2 drivers to make an attempt at qualifying. Some heavy hitters did not put a time in the books. Joseph Mealy, 18th. Looks like Cole Bushman, 19th. Brandon Anderson, 20th. And Connor Boris, 21st.
Those are the drivers. The bottom 4 there did not set a qualifying time. But up at the front, it's going to be Connor Crichton in the 19 machine. That's a great start for him. He sits 12th in the points, but only a couple points out. Only 3 points out. Only 7 points out, actually, from the chase as it were to stand right now. So,
yeah, Connor had some tough luck here in a couple of the races this season. That's put him a little bit behind the 8 ball. Obviously not for lack of effort, as he puts in a tremendous lap here this afternoon, or this evening.
It's going to be great if he can hold on to it. Same for Billy Kruska alongside of him, who is back in the points as well, back in 11th. 5 points out of the chase. Definitely in the second half of the season, getting ready to set themselves up for a run. Before you make a championship run, you got to make a run for the playoffs. Those last 6 races where the points will reset. Very fun to watch. Pace car beginning to roll. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll be able to return picture here for you. But for the time being, we can report everything going smoothly on this pace lap. Well, actually, it's not a very smooth pace lap around Atlanta, but bumpy, but concise.
Yeah, making those force feedback wheels vibrate like it's nobody's business as you hop along the rough Atlanta surface here. I believe just 1 pace lap on a track this length. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Going to see in turns 3, and now the truck's making their way through. A couple of drivers searching for points late in the season, making up row 1, and some fast guys behind him. Jody Banfield, Cody Tripp, Danny Banfield, Jared Mogard, but a lot of the big names going to be down further in the field. It's going to be interesting to see them fight their way up through. The green flag about to come out here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Connor Crichton into the restart box. He's on the loud pedal as we go green. Even behind him, Jared Mogard, before he even reaches the line, going to make it 3 wide back in row number 2. An absolutely chaotic start back there, but they head down into turn number 1. So far, so good as they get themselves more sorted out.
What a great start for the 21 of Cody Tripp. Also, he's able to pull right up to the back bumper of your leader, gives him a bit of a push down the back straightaway. Now he's going to think about, he is going to make it 3 wide momentarily as they head into turn 3, backs off a little bit. Connor Crichton with a nose advantage over the 88 of Bill Kruska, who's got his hands full with the 21 of Tripp to his inside.
It's so easy for that abrasive surface, like we saw with Cody Tripp there, to reel you in onto that bottom lane, almost that bottom lane and a half, the bottom half lane, I should say, to make it 3 wide. Now we see Billy Kruska up at the front, still side by side onto the backstretch here at lap 2. He is looking in that black and neon green machine to get underneath the likes of Connor Crichton and try to take that lead, but it's side by side for the lead still. They've just flipped spots on the track.
Yeah, Crichton now trying to make use of that outside groove as they cross the line. Looks like he has the lead by just a hair, but still making the outside groove work, as at least the first couple rows are still 2 by 2 as we reach 3 laps in the book.
Still side by side, looking like a restrictor plate race up at the top of the board. Billy Kruska on the bottom of Crichton, continuing to try to get that momentum in his favor. Jared Mogard has moved into third place behind him. He's looking to join the party. He's looking in between him. I don't know if this is going to work. Just about makes it 3 wide, but he backs out at the last second. Through turns 1 and 2 once again.
Yeah, Jared Mogard there was looking like a dog at the worst kind of dog park because he was looking to stick his nose where it doesn't belong. But kept it clean and regroups as he fell back to the third spot, and now going to look to the outside for a second. Nope. Now he's going to try to shoot the gap again up the middle as he looks to make it 3 wide into turn 1.
He looks a little more dedicated this time. He gets up in between them, 3 wide for the lead through turns 1 and 2 at Atlanta Motor Speedway here on lap 5. Billy Kruska able to slip away just for the moment. He's going to be able to clear him on the backstretch. Mogard now looking for more. He's on the bottom of Crichton, now on the bottom of Kruska. Through turns 3, gives him a little bit of a nudge, but it's okay. He's going to be able to keep it straight. Slides right up in front of Crichton in the 19. Very close racing side by side here, but they get more single file back on the front stretch.
Battle now for the third spot as the 19 of Cody Crichton under assault from both Banfields, Jody and Danny. Jody to his outside, Danny right on his tailgate.
Kruska solidly has the lead now, at least for the time being. Jared Mogard trying to hound him, but like you said, side by side, Crichton on the bottom of Jody Banfield for third. That 39 machine of Jody Banfield has joined the picture. Right behind him, his brother Danny is in the picture as well.
What a great battle for the lead it is when the most decisive lead that they've had so far is less than 1/10 of a second.
Speaking of joining the picture, we welcome you back. Sorry about those technical difficulties. We got sorted out here, but hopefully we are good to go here. Just like these drivers, they are very aggressive right from the get-go. Side by side, Mogard going to the outside, coming out of turn 4. Kruska still holding that position, and it looks like they almost touch at the start-finish line, but Mogard going to be able to take that position aggressively. And the third different leader tonight in just 7 laps, Jared Mogard.
Yeah, I don't know if Mogard knew he was clear or not, but he was going to send it either way, and luckily for him, it worked out. But now Bill Kruska gets another run on the inside with Jody Banfield right to the back of Mogard. If that track was just a lane wider, he would have his hands full with Banfield on his outside. But luckily, there was a wall there, so Jared Mogard able to keep his lead.
Jody Banfield going to be able to clear Bill Kruska there for second place on the outside. Side by side for fourth, Danny Banfield on the bottom of Cody Tripp. Or I'm sorry, that's Connor Crichton still. Cody Tripp just behind him there in sixth. Really tight, close racing that these hot grippy conditions, or the hot gripless conditions, I should say, have provided. Which is kind of the opposite, I think, to what we expected to see regarding those conditions. But fresh tires are bound to wear off eventually. We'll see if this trend continues or not.
Yeah, the track temperatures remain pretty constant from practice carrying over to qualifying, and the difference in time between practice and qualifying was about a half second slower in qualifying. Oh, we got a driver with a problem down on the inside of the...
Rory Gamble with a big slide coming out of turn 2. This was a scary moment for him. Got into the wall, it looks like. Let's take a look at this replay. Yeah, scary moment, but a great save for the driver there out of Ohio.
Yeah, looks like he just got a little bit out of shape. Tough break. He was running 7th position before the incident, and he's going to drop all the way to the back of the field.
3 wide, just behind the leaders. Tripp on the bottom, Banfield in the middle, Crichton on top. Crichton going to slide right behind him. For now, he backs out of that one. Not so sure if that was voluntarily backing out, but nonetheless, he falls behind him. Cody Tripp looking for that position on the bottom, but you can see that momentum shift back to the outside for Banfield.
Yeah, we got so caught up in that battle in the early goings. Cody Tripp had a tremendous start of the race, but he must have faded there as he's worked his way back around a couple trucks and finds himself in the 4th spot where he started. So it looks like he may have had some trouble in the early goings, but it looks like he's doing a great job working his way back up.
Yeah, and one driver that continues to fade is the pole sitter, Connor Crichton. I don't think he expected himself to be back in 6th at this early in the race, but that's where he rides behind Cody Tripp. You can see all the top 10 at least single file now, as tires definitely start to show their wear here at Atlanta. This is when the trucks get really slidey around here, and we see a lot of involuntary slide jobs and crossovers. Very fun stuff.
You know, I heard that they make special pants now when you have an involuntary slide job.
Back up front, nothing has changed. Jared Mogard continues to lead. A little bit of a gap over Banfield, over Kruska. Back for 4th, Cody Tripp looking down to the inside of Danny Banfield.
You know, just looking at the charts here, we have a driver, no practice, did not make a qualifying attempt. That's Brandon Anderson, who's been quick the last several weeks. He's now up to the 9th position, Nick.
Yeah, great run for him. Didn't set a qualifying time, just like Joseph Mealy in front of him, who started 18th up to 8th. We knew they were fast. Both of these drivers together compiling 3 wins so far out of the first 4 races.
I guess some people just like to make things harder on themselves.
Of course. Makes it all the more fun here at Atlanta to fight your way up through the field.
Or maybe they just did what I have been known to do in my iRacing career, and that's go to the kitchen to make a drink when qualifying happens, and all of a sudden you're starting at the back of the grid.
I'll tell you what, someone who is not going towards the kitchen right now, it's Jody Banfield. He's going to the front of the pack. He is all over the back of Jared Mogard for the lead as they run. Down to the inside, that apron will really catch you out here if you're not careful. They got to be careful bouncing off of that so aggressively.
Yeah, this track is another one of those older tracks with a lot of character that will humble you if you are not showing it the respect it deserves. And that apron you spoke of is definitely one of the many ways this track can humble you.
Definitely. The abrasiveness in those apron and in that apron working together oftentimes catch even the most veteran drivers out here. Got a little side-by-side behind him. Actually, a couple of side-by-side battles now. Cody Tripp on the bottom of Banfield once again. And he's on the bottom of him, but not on the bottom lane of the track. That's kind of the middle and the high lane as they go through turns 3 and 4. Behind them you saw for a moment Mealy and Crichton battling as well. Lots of positions getting shuffled here in the early goings.
Still that great battle between Tripp and Banfield for the 4th spot. It looked like Tripp may have him for a second, but Banfield, using that outside momentum, was able to pull him down the back straight and into turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, we're seeing that inside line. We were kind of surprised earlier, Chris, about how much grip they were having here for the temperature. We're seeing a little more cloud cover now. You can see the shadow really start to roll over this track, and the temperature dipping down to a couple of degrees. So if that continues to be the trend for this evening, we might see a bit more of a grippier pack racing style race.
Yeah, ambient temperature has remained consistent, but the track temperature has cooled off about 5 degrees since the green flag flew for the first time.
Cody Tripp finding the grip down in the inside. On the front stretch especially, he's got a big run to try to get around Danny Banfield. Looks like he'll clear him for a moment, but is he going to be brave enough to slide up in front of him out of turn 2? He's going to almost do it. He comes up in front of him, gets a big wiggle. Banfield continues to stick his nose on the outside.
Ooh, and there we go. Caution on the track.
I don't see it yet.
Well, the 77 of Rory Gamble is parked in the pits. I'm not sure if maybe he did a quick repair after spinning out, but he's looks like he's in the pits taking time.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He had spun coming into the pits, actually. I don't know if that triggered an automatic caution. It might have triggered a manual caution, but I don't think it was a manually thrown caution. Well,
Yeah.
either way, we are under caution for the first time this evening at Atlanta.
See, I was worried that it might have been cleanup for one of those involuntary slide jobs that you were talking about. Or,
It may have been.
well, the 77 gambled back out onto the track after spending quite a while on pit road, so maybe he had some other issues going on as the rest of the field heads down pit road for a quick stop.
Yeah, it looks like just about everyone coming in after a little over 20 laps on tires here. Clean so far for everyone in their boxes. Danny Banfield might be a little bit sideways, but we'll see who wins the race off pit road. It's going to be 4 tires and a full tank of fuel. Remember, they've got 50% fuel limit, so that's definitely going to play in a factor. Looks like Jody Banfield has come out in front of Mogard.
Well, it looks like this caution flag has everybody stumped, even race control I was listening to on the radio, and race control also baffled by what the caution was triggered by. So, one of those phantom yellows, I guess. Yeah, somebody may have thrown a water bottle out the window.
Yes, the unruly fans looking for a debris caution. They got it, but might have been Connor Boris. He's joined us late in the going here, late in the race. He's 10 laps down in 21st. Winner at Pocono in week 1. He might have thrown his water bottle out to get a lap back.
Must have spent too long in the kitchen making himself a drink, too.
Well, that's what he threw out the window, was the drink. Must not have been a very good drink. Or it was, he just dedicated to the cause to get that lap back.
Yeah, he just has to come up with 10 more drinks and maybe he can get himself back on the lead lap.
Couple of 6-packs, and he's got a few to spare in victory lane, maybe. It's if he can knock out someone like Jody Banfield from victory lane. He rides in the lead right now. Connor Boris, funny enough, as soon as we say that, race control gives him the wave around. 1 down, 9 to go. We've talked to him earlier in the month, earlier in the season. Feels pretty comfortable right now, sitting second in the points, only by 1 point behind Brandon Anderson, the leader. Feels pretty comfortable to at least make the chase. Just 4 races left.
One positive about having the chase type format as far as being a driver goes is you can treat it a lot like how I treated college, and you just got to make it through, and then once you get to the end, that's when the hard work starts. So it looks like we have 25 laps in the book, Nick. 113 was the plan for today. Field getting ready to double up. And looks like Banfield's going to be choosing the inside line.
Looks that way. We saw a couple drivers last week choose the outside. Of course, Martinsville, much different track than Atlanta. I can't imagine. I mean, Atlanta is notorious for drivers on the outside line, especially those starting second, for spinning their tires on the start. Even when they have fresh tires, just something about the grip level out there and the degradation of the tires does not go in the favor of those starting in second. We'll see if Jared Mogard can hold on to it.
Yeah, and it looks like we may have lost our cloud cover, track temperature going back up, so it's going to be slick again, and we'll see how this restart goes.
Going to have 88 laps to go when they take the green flag here. The first restart of the day. Jody Banfield after starting third, Mogard after starting sixth. They find themselves on the front row. Cody Tripp, he's been aggressive off the get-go, though. Look for him in third place to make a move. Pace car begins to peel off down pit road. The green flag is out here once again at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a good start, honestly, from both the front runners, even Mogart on the outside. He gets those fresh tires locked in into the grip. Cody Tripp right behind him, going to slide into third. Danny Banfield holding off the likes of Mealy and Anderson side by side there for fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Yeah, Anderson and Mealy, both of them not making a qualifying attempt. They now find themselves one in and one just outside of the top 5.
Everyone in the field got single file very quickly that time, much different than the start we saw at the beginning of the race where it took them over 10 laps to get single file. A couple of positions further back being swapped. Looks like Kruska able to hold on to 7th over Connor Crichton.
Ooh, and Kruska tagged the wall going down the back straightaway coming off of turn 2. That's going to open the door for Crichton to fight back. We have drivers all the way down at the bottom of the track.
We had a couple drivers do that. It looks like Scott Rickard tagged the wall pretty significantly coming out of turn 2. And actually, TJ McGuire, I think, was the black truck you saw go all the way down to the inside wall that time around. But everyone able to hold on to it.
Yeah, one advantage we have here at Atlanta that we haven't had the last couple of weeks is space. Just having room to work your way around incidences and not have a wall on either side of you.
Yeah, Dover, the self-cleaning track, and Martinsville, which can very easily become a landfill. Our last 2 races, lots of space to breathe here. For third place, Danny Banfield not giving Cody Tripp much space to breathe. He's all over the back of him, trying to look for a way around him. They were battling before, it was just the positions reversed now. You can see Banfield hugging that white line on the bottom.
Looked like the rear end might have tried to step out on him a little bit once he got down there. So maybe that inside groove, gosh, they get really close to that apron. It's making me nervous, man.
Yes. It's hard to tell where that white line is. Parts of the track, it's actually on the apron. Other parts, it's actually up towards the track. If you can get yourself locked in there, that whole left side of the truck, the left side tires locked on that line, you are really going to be snug around the corners, and it gives you a bit of a launch as well. You see that now from Danny Banfield on the bottom of Cody Tripp. He's been on the bottom of him for about an entire lap now. That's the 93 of Joseph Mealy, or just behind him on the outside looking in.
Yeah, you saw Mealy going high, going low, looking all kinds of edgy, trying to get his way to the front. And it's always frustrating when you feel like you have a truck that can contend for the win and you got 2 guys racing in front of you.
Mealy on the bottom of Tripp. He's got Brandon Anderson right behind him. Remember, going for 3 wins in a row, but he's not going to be able to get that win unless he gets past a couple of these drivers in front of him battling. He's going to look to the far outside, almost make it 3 wide. Not going to have the momentum to keep up, though. Tripp stuck in the middle. Mealy on the bottom. Tight out of turn 2. Into the wall goes Cody Tripp. He falls back.
Tripp makes hard contact with the outside wall and then almost got a tailgate full of Brandon Anderson, if not for Anderson being quick on his feet to get around him. And now Anderson going to challenge Mealy for the 4th spot.
2 of the drivers we mentioned didn't set a qualifying time. They are already up inside the top 5, looking for more. But they're trying to fight with each other right now. Oh, very close. Anderson almost getting into the left rear quarter panel there of Mealy coming out of turn 2. Don't want to do that. Mealy really pinching him down a bit. He's going to be able to clear himself aggressively in front of Anderson there in 3 and 4. Back onto the front stretch, they get launched, and even though they're not working together very well, they've caught Danny Banfield for 3rd.
Yeah, in the words of the Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream rises to the top. And these 2 drivers have proven week in and week out that they're 2 of the top drivers in this series. So they may have started further back, but they're definitely showing some muscle here, just fighting with each other. Looks like we may have something going on.
They're having a blast, too, because Anderson dove it down in there that time on the inside of Mealy. Side by side at the line, give the position to Mealy that time by. But Anderson continues to try to get around him, try to find a way. He's going to slide up right in front of him and forcefully take away 4th place. Now he's going to set his sights on Banfield in front of him.
That was a voluntary slide job.
Yes, it was.
So now Brandon Anderson breathing down the neck of Danny Banfield for P3. It's going to be it's been a pretty good night for Banfield as Anderson goes way up out of the groove. Not sure if he's just trying to run the outside or what he's trying to do here as Mealy now catches right up alongside him. Anderson looked like he was catching Banfield, who's having a pretty good night so far. Oh, and they make contact!
Oh, just as he went to the outside, not enough room in turn 3 for that to continue to work. It was a hard shot into the wall for the 93 of Joseph Mealy. He came down the track, didn't get anyone else, but just judging by that hit, his night is definitely over. Well, I was about to make a comment about Anderson going to the outside and these guys having way too much fun, but it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt.
Yeah, no. What would your call be on that one, Nick? It looked to me like maybe Mealy was trying to get up in front of him and just wasn't clear.
Mealy went a little higher than I think Anderson expected him to. And Anderson, I mean, it looks like Anderson held his line, but they were battling so tight side by side the half dozen laps before that. I think he had every right to expect he was going to go back down there. It's hard to tell. Just hard racing incident between two very competitive drivers.
Yeah, it's always a shame when that happens, but gosh, that was such a great race they had going. It's a tough break for Joseph Mealy, who's had rough luck the last couple weeks. Ooh, and Anderson slides through his pit box.
Oof. Insult to injury so far for Anderson. He falls towards the back. Looks like Danny Banfield as well going through his box. Not quite sitting too square in that. Mogard the first to get rolling, but it's going to be Jody Banfield, the first to get out of the pits. Mogard right behind him. And for third place, Cody Tripp is going to be there. There was a 3-wide battle behind him. I think Billy Kruska might be taking that spot behind him.
Yeah, definitely looked like Kruska got out in front of Danny Banfield. So it looks like he may pick up at least a spot or two.
Brandon Miranda has stayed on track, but he's 4 laps down. He's going to get a wave around, it looks like. Or a lucky dog. That's 18 truck, has a lot of damage. Didn't have a week he wanted to last week at Martinsville, not having the week he'd like to this week at Atlanta.
Little did you know, Nick, that former President Jimmy Carter, as a youth, was a concession worker at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
I did not know that. Very cool. I knew he was from Georgia. Had the privilege of actually seeing him speak last year. But if I had known he was as big a race fan as he was, I would have asked him about it if I had the chance.
Well, looks like Joseph Mealy in the chat owning up to the incident being his responsibility. So, a little bit of salt in the wounds for Joseph Mealy, but great to see a driver own up to what may have been his own mistake.
Yeah, it cycles the likes of Brandon Anderson far down the field. Looks like he's back in 15th. But he was able to work his way up through the field in 20 or so laps to begin the race. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage on that truck, so I wouldn't be surprised if we, maybe a little bit of right front, but wouldn't be surprised if we saw the 24 truck climb his way back up through the field.
Yeah, as we mentioned, also a disastrous pit stop for him after a tough incident with Joseph Mealy, and Anderson unfortunately slid through his pit box. so that cost him quite a bit of time. And after marching his way all the way up through the field, he gets the fun and joy of doing it all over.
Pace car formation, pace lap formation reorganizing itself here as the lights are out and drivers will get ready to go. It'll be lap 41 of 113 when Jody Banfield takes the green flag once again. Same front row we had last time. Banfield and Mogard up front. Cody Tripp remains in third, but Kruska in fourth. He was back in row 4 on the last restart, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do up here with a little bit more of clean air. We'll see if that outside lane gets going. I expect the inside to. Jody Banfield, that is. Gonna try to outlast Jared Mogard on this restart. Pace car pulls in. They come into the restart zone and a little bit of tire spin as we expect, but it is a green flag for Jody Banfield. He's able to take that position over Jared Mogard. Side by side behind him, Tripp going to slide in front of Kruska. They get single file quickly. Behind them, though, a bit of a gaggle back for 5th on back.
Yeah, top 4 with a clean getaway, but that's about it. Couple drivers up in the mix that we haven't really talked about tonight. The 80 of Jack Wells and the 33 of Todd Slauson in 6th and 7th right now. Looks like they may have been some beneficiaries of the pit stops jumbling stuff up.
Yeah, they definitely are going to take advantage of those positions. Kruska looking to the bottom. Oh, something happened to Banfield. He's fallen way off the pace to the outside. Mogard is your leader. Banfield struggling to hold on to a podium. He's going to try to get right back around Tripp for second. But Jared Mogard has been promoted to the lead. Banfield going to slide up in front of Cody Tripp. Not quite slide up in front of him, but he gets down to the inside of him pretty securely. You can see just the traffic jam behind these leaders. And Jared Mogard setting the fastest lap of the race as well that time by.
It's amazing what you can do with fresh tires and some rubber laid down.
That 00 truck liking the clean air out in front as well. Kruska trying to get around Tripp for 3rd. Trying to get up next to him. Back for 6th. Todd Slauson's on the bottom of the 80. That is Jack Wells. Very tight through turns 1 and 2.
Looks like 33 Todd Slauson having some connection issues as he battles with the 7 of Tyler Fody for the 7th position. Just part of that gaggle of trucks back there from about 4th on back.
Tyler Fody came on the scene recently with a lot of pace. Made a name for himself early. No surprise to see him there. Up front for the lead, though, side by side, headed into turn 3. Mogard on the bottom. Banfield has caught him once again on the top. Very tight, just about that seam in between them. That is all a paper-thin gap between these two as they come through the front stretch back into turns 1 and 2. Mogard washing up a little bit, trying to gain as much advantage as he can over him.
This is kind of a change of roles here. Really, the 39 of Banfield has been the one running the inside line for a good majority of this race. It looks like he may have found something up in that higher groove.
Mogard all over the apron there in turns 3 and 4. He's got it hooked up nicely, though.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Mogard is enjoying running on the inside very much, but circumstances have dictated such, and he is not doing a terrible job, but it looks like that truck is not enjoying being on the inside groove.
Second consecutive lap, these two have been side by side for the lead. A little bit of contact there. We've seen contact with front runners in turn 3 before in this race. It didn't end well. That time it ends a little bit better. Banfield backs out of it. He's going to choose to ride behind the 00 for the time being.
Yeah, maybe Jody Banfield will make another shot at it on the inside where he's a little bit more comfortable, but Mogard looks like he's now going to guard that inside line, knowing that Banfield's ran there so often early in the event. Ooh, Banfield may have scraped the wall off the turn, too.
His vision definitely blocked by that big, tall rear end of the front of the rear of the truck in front of him. That you're right on board with now, looking back. That gap looks to be opening up just a little bit. Let's check in on 5th place, Bill Kruska, running underneath Jack Wells on the outside.
Yeah, Danny Banfield again having a tremendous night as he's now trying to fend off the charge of Kruska and Wells for the 4th spot. Looks like Kruska might be getting ready to send it up the inside as we head towards turn 1.
Tyler Fody remains on the outside behind Jack Wells, right behind him. That's in 7th place he runs now to match his number on the side of his truck.
You know, I really think Tyler Fody missed the boat as far as what his car number should have been. Definitely should have gone with the number 40.
Oh, you're right. He's getting around the 80 truck right now on the outside. That is Jack Wells stuck on the inside. And right behind them, looks like Scott Rickard joining the picture as well in the 25. Everything very tight, very bunched up, not much space in between these guys at all. Josh Walker is there in the 58 in front of him now, in front of Wells and Rickard, who are side by side for 8th.
Yeah, and how about Josh Walker in the 58 to the inside of Tyler Fody for the 6th spot now? He's had a tremendous run the last couple laps, passed a bunch of trucks, and now finds himself getting ready to be knocking on the door of the top 5 as Bill Kruska now pulls to the inside of Danny Banfield for 4th.
Billy Kruska, does he have enough room to slide up in front of Banfield? It's close. He's going to remain on the inside for now. I think he might have the room technically, but I don't think it would be a very smart move to jump up in front of him there. Now he might have the room to jump up in front of him, and he will. He clears him, but we might see a bit of a crossover for Banfield. He gets a big run out of turn 2. He gets a little bit of draft from the back of the 88 machine. Down to the inside they go once again. This time they swap positions. Side by side, though, still in 3 and 4.
And Danny Banfield trying to take advantage of the slipstream there and pulls alongside, but so far not able to make that inside groove work. And the 58 of Josh Walker searching around the banking here at Atlanta, trying to pick a winner on which groove will be quicker.
Banfield knocking on the door still of Kruska, very loose out of turn 2. Banfield still looking on the bottom. Behind him, Walker and Fody are side by side. 2 wide, 2 deep. They don't look now, but Scott Rickard wants to join this party as well still. He's back in the 25 truck, back in 8th. Kruska holding on to the top spot of this gaggle right now for 4th. Banfield behind him for 5th. Walker in the 58, edging ahead of Fody just a little bit right now for 6th and 7th. Very close. I think there might have been contact made there. Caution out once again. It is Brandon Miranda. This looks to be over in turn number 1. And it looks to be all by himself.
Yeah, just a little bit loose as he entered into turn 1. The back end goes around on him, and see you later.
You know what I think it was? There's a little bit of apron down there on the front stretch where it's completely flat. He came up a little bit later, and that transition onto the track, I think, is enough to unsettle a damaged truck like his. And I think that was just enough, plus that and the awkward angle of getting in a little too hot. I think perfectly unsettled it.
Well, as they come around, we'll be hitting the halfway point in this event. It'll be 57 down, 56 to go. with Jared Mogard leading them down pit road, I would assume, since it's Atlanta and everybody always goes down pit road because, tires. So, yep, just as expected, Mogard leads the parade down the pit lane.
He does indeed. It looks like everyone coming in except for a couple of lapped trucks staying on track. Everyone trying to slide those worn-up tires into the box. It can be a little bit scary. Bill Kruska sliding through his box just a little bit, and a big slide for Connor Crichton in front of him. Everyone's struggling to get those rubber bands that are left on those rims into the box. Mogard going to come out right in front of Banfield, who comes out side by side with Tripp. I believe Fody has jumped up a bunch of spots into fourth, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Mogard had a tremendous exit off of pit road. He was quite a ways away from everybody else.
Speaking of Mogard and Fody jumping up spots, we've got to give a shout out to the back bumper here of Tyler Fody's paint scheme that we've just noticed. It's we'll try to see if Kruska can get closer to him. You may be able to make out the Mogard Mo Problems. Very nice. I am flattered. Great shot of it there on the front stretch. Very fun.
It's still not going to beat hashtag taco soup.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't create taco soup. This one's got some meaning to it, man.
Oh, that's true.
So, Tyler, assuming you watch the broadcasts, you're not watching this live right now, unless it's in your ear, but welcome to the broadcast. Mr. Fody, you're doing a great job so far. Hopefully I didn't just give you the commentator's curse.
Yeah, and change the number on your truck to 40 so that we can make fun of you. I kid, of course. We do appreciate all the drivers that are in attendance participating in this event. And really all events, because if not for the drivers, then we'd have nothing to talk about.
Definitely. This is the largest field we've had all season, actually with the exception of Darlington, I believe. I think we had a couple other races. I think we had one with 24 trucks.
Well, Brandon Anderson up to 9th after the pit stop. Really not surprised by the lack of progress he made up through the field after starting so far back initially. He was up in the top 5 at one point before the second to last caution. Not able to make progress like he had before, but with the pit stop, everything kind of is reset. So Anderson will see what he can do from 9th on the restart grid.
I can confirm, by the way, quick check back through the stat books. This is our largest field of the season. We had 20 at Pocono. That was the previous record, so very awesome to see the series grow like this. 21 drivers rolling off tonight. Down to 16 of them on the lead lap. Hey, we mentioned Connor Boris earlier in the broadcast. He's down to 7 laps down. He's still chipping away at it.
Hey, we're only just past halfway.
Oof. I think he might have needed to be about 5 laps down at that rate. But regardless, we'll see if he can get up or pick up any more points based off of attrition. I think he's about to jump Brandon Miranda for 17th, so there's something. Mogard down on the inside for the first time on one of these restarts. It's going to be Jody Banfield to the outside. Cody Tripp remains in 3rd. Fody in 4th. It's going to be a very early jump for Mogard here, right as the pace car is pulling off. Green flag back in the air on lap number 60.
Yeah, he definitely caught him napping on that start.
Absolutely. Banfield slides down in front of Tripp. Single file most of the way back through the field. Kruska giving a little bit of chase back to Danny Banfield. Tripp giving a little bit of chase to Jody Banfield for 2nd. First side-by-side action we have is Brandon Anderson trying to get around Jack Wells for 7th, it looks like. For 8th, actually. We're very close in turn number 1 there. That time, Anderson getting as much of an apex as he can. And I think we're about to have more side-by-side. Up in front of him, Danny Banfield looking to go to the bottom of Tyler Fody for 4th. Still chasing down the likes of Cody Tripp in front of him as well. Trying to get that 98 truck tuned up there with 4 fresh tires on the bottom groove. It looks good for now. Unfortunately, though, for him, those 4 fresh tires pretty effective on the outside as well for Fody.
Yeah, Tyler Fody doing a tremendous job on the outside line. Looks like he's going to fall back in line behind Banfield, but doesn't look like he's going to be content to stay there very long.
You may have seen it roll across the top of the screen just now as well. Mogard again setting another fastest lap of this race. He continues to create mo problems for everyone else. Banfield trying to chase him down. That's Jody Banfield, that is. In second, not letting him get away just yet, but it's also not looking too promising.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest lead we've seen all evening for Jared Mogard, as he has a several truck length advantage at the line. It looks like it was 0.3 of a second, so a pretty healthy lead right now for Jared Mogard here as we get into the latter half of this race.
Brandon Anderson changed for position for him. He moves himself up into 7th, getting around Scott Rickard. Actually, not quite yet. On the backstretch, Rickard's going to fight back on the outside. And behind them, a quick side-by-side Jack Wells getting around Jake Van Wazer on the outside, it looks like.
We haven't really talked much about Jake in this event so far. He's been hanging out towards the back of the top 10 really for the most part of the evening, and looks like he's still running towards the latter half of the top 10, but a pretty quiet, consistent night for Jake Van Wazer. Ooh, Wells into the wall.
Ooh, yeah.
One of the problem with these high-speed mile-and-a-half ovals is when you get into the wall in the corner, it's got a tendency to kind of suck you in and keep you pinned against the wall there for a while, so it's going to be a costly error for Jack Wells.
And he pays the price about half a lap later, too. Momentum's so important at the mile-and-a-half tracks. A lot of times you make a mistake in turn 2 like that, and you'll feel it through the middle of 3 and 4 when everyone's freight training you. Back in 11th place, it looks like, is where he will sort himself out. Back for 3rd, Cody Tripp under pressure from Danny Banfield. That gap is definitely closed. Banfield continuing to look for a way around him, not diving it down too aggressively to the inside, just really putting the pressure on the 21. Through 1 and 2 again. We'll see what kind of run they get. We might want to check in on the leaders as well. In front of him, that gap is closed in. That's Jody Banfield.
Yeah,
closing in on Jared Mogard.
I was monitoring that battle there for a second before we switched over to it, and it's gone from 0.3 of a second down to Jody Banfield getting ready to try to make a pass for the lead.
I mentioned it wasn't looking promising. Well, Jody Banfield has corrected me because he has really closed in the gap. He's taken these a little bit older tires to his advantage. About 12 lap old tires right now, and they're side by side for 3rd as well. Banfield has finally gotten to the bottom of Tripp. Looks like he's going to clear him pretty easily in turn 3 as well. Tripp might be able to fight back, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to get up side by side. I think that position is going to go to Danny Banfield, who falls in line now with his brother Jody in front of him.
Yeah, the podium position's now very heavily leaning towards the Banfield family, as of course, as soon as I say that, Cody Tripp now right to back to the inside of Danny Banfield for third.
Cody Tripp continues to split up the band of Banfield brothers. He's back into third. Just behind them, Kruska trying to get around Tyler Fody and Scott Rickard as well. They ride 1, 2, 3 like that. Or I should say 5, 6, 7.
So it's a band of Banfields in the field today.
Yes. Precisely.
Sweet.
Hopefully we don't see them in the band infield. Unless they're doing donuts at the end of the race. I think that's the only time they'd be okay with that.
I'm going to have to refer to the judges on that one, Nick. Meanwhile, up front, looks like Jared Mogard has been able to escape the clutches of Jody Banfield, pulling his lead back out again to about 0.3 of a second. So not sure if Banfield is maybe conserving for a run a little bit later on in this cycle, or maybe it's just Jared Mogard starting to put the hammer down.
Back in 8th place, Jake Van Wazer holding off the likes of Brandon Anderson. You know, we saw Brandon Anderson really close in a lot on that first gap. Oh, and as I say that, trouble ahead of him, that is Danny Banfield in the 98. No caution yet, but he sits idle, and now he's going to back it on track. I think we're going to get the yellow launder. Well, maybe not. We remain green. All right.
That's such a tough break for Danny Banfield, who is having probably his best run of the season here today. You hate to see that, just going around over on the backstretch.
Yeah, and based off of that damage, I don't think a caution would have helped him either. Smoking coming down into the pits. He looks to be done. And there goes the engine in the pit lane as well, I can report. So Danny Banfield going to coast into his stall. That was a heartbreaking finish for him. Jared Mogard, these older tires really coming into his hands right now. He is just running away from everyone. Jody Banfield all by himself, or Cody Tripp now all by himself. Now he's going to be able to chase down Jody Banfield. So he's still in a battle with a Banfield, just a different one.
The slightly smaller field of Banfields. So, like, as you mentioned, Cody Tripp in third, trying to run down Jody Banfield for second. Looks like this may play to the advantage of Connor Boris as well, with Danny Banfield out of the event. Boris still clipping along back in 18th spot, trying to gain every point he can. So one more driver out of the field means a couple more points for Connor Boris.
Yeah, there you go. See a battle for what is now 5th with the absence of Danny Banfield. It's Scott Rickard on the bottom of Billy Kruska. Rickard having a really quiet night until now. He's really been in the popcorn position for quite a few battles that we've been watching. It is go time for him now, it looks like. Trying to hold onto the bottom lane here. Trying to keep up his speed, though. Not going to be able to do both of those at the same time, it looks like. He falls back in line. And Cody Tripp as well has just gotten around Jody Banfield for second. He holds on to it for now. Banfield fighting back on the outside, though.
So now it looks like they're going to be... I thought they were going to be side by side by the exit of the corner, but... And now it looks like we got it going on as they head down the back straightaway. The momentum pulls Jody Banfield back ahead.
You may have seen behind him a little bobble out of Kruska. I think he might have tagged the wall. Don't have to go there, but they remain in a battle as well. Oh, Kruska with a big hit, actually, it looks like. This was turn 4 coming onto the front stretch. Oh, all out of sorts. Very similar to his bad luck we saw last week at Martinsville. Not the situation Billy wanted to find himself in.
Unfortunately, looks like the amount of unforced errors we're seeing in this race have picked up quite a bit in the late going. You think maybe we have some of these drivers falling out of the seat a little bit?
Yeah, maybe just a little. We continue to see drivers take advantage of the attrition and move themselves up. How about Brandon Anderson getting himself up into a top 5 with that? And you know, Chris, I wonder, we have that 50% fuel limit. They are on about 24 laps out there so far on these tires. Now, those tires are going to give us a good indication of how much fuel they have, because with 50% fuel limit, it's got to be coming up to that fuel window. Might see some green flag pit stops.
Well, that would definitely change things up as far as strategy goes.
Yeah, absolutely. We might. I think we're definitely going to see that. We might see some trouble getting onto pit road as well.
Yeah, as we've seen in years past here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, not the easiest pit road to transition onto coming off of those high banks.
In real-world racing, very rarely do we see drivers get to their full fuel limit here. They usually have to come in the pits before that just because of how bad their tires are. But here with a 50% fuel limit, I think we're going to see the exact opposite. We might see them come in for fuel beforehand. Haven't seen anyone do that yet, but only on coming up to lap 83 out of 113. Definitely think we're going to be seeing that soon. Looks like TJ McGuire might be the first one.
Yes, we got McGuire heading down pit road in the barbecue machine.
It's a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit here. It's very hard to get the truck slowed down that much, especially you have the bumps, you have the banking, you have the speed, the old tires, the heat. One of the most difficult tracks to do that. Jody Banfield slides his way in. He finds himself sitting backwards on pit road. Same with Billy Kruska behind him. Oh boy, and behind them, the 33 comes in. That's Todd Slauson. We've got trucks in the infield, trucks all over. Adam Courtney behind him in the 95. This is looking like a Walmart parking lot. Black Friday covered in ice.
Needless to say, that did not go well. Oh,
and
looks
Jody
like
Banfield slid through a stall as well. Oh.
Yeah, it looks like we noticed that one at this. Oh, he slid through it again. This is like worst case scenario for Jody Banfield.
Oh boy. Well, you said it might be a little bit of a mix-up in the running order. I think we're gonna see that for sure. Jared Mogard stayed on track. I expect him maybe to come in this time. He is. In fact, he might be running low on fuel. I think he might be good. Josh Walker in as well behind him. You see a couple drivers exiting the pits. Rickard joins the track. Fody joins the track. This is going to be really interesting. Hard to predict where everything's going to cycle out, but it looks like a clean stop for Mogard. Jody Banfield just now getting out in front of him.
Yeah, wow. Apparently the damage that Banfield got must have really hurt that truck, as he was on pit road for quite a while. So
Cody
now
Tripp has gone to the lead through all of this. He has another one with one of those clean stops.
Yeah, I was going to say Cody Tripp was in that first gaggle of cars or trucks that were down pit road, if I believe. And now the caution is out.
Oh, boy. That's Tyler Fody. This is at the exit of turn 4, and this is with TJ McGuire. This is a hard hit for Fody. He took quite a wild ride. Oh, my goodness. let's take a ride on board. I recommend closing your eyes if you get motion sick. I think Tyler Fody might have had his eyes closed in midair.
You're definitely going to want to bring the air sick bag for this one.
Atlanta has the world's busiest airport. I think they picked something up on their radar they weren't expecting with this one. Fody going pretty high.
But conveniently lands at the entrance to pit road.
Yes. It was looking just about as chaotic as everyone else's entrances. So, Cody Tripp gonna have the lead. Brandon Anderson behind him. Jared Mogard is back to third. Jake Van Wazer fourth. Scott Rickard fifth. That's how the top five sort themselves out for now.
And how about Cole Bushman sitting in sixth? He started 19th on the grid after not taking a qualifying time. He's really hung out more towards the back of the field than anything all day, and between attrition and pit stop issues and everything else, he finds himself in the sixth spot.
Definitely a great run. Seeing a couple varying strategies here on pit road. Cody Tripp decides to stay out. Everyone else comes in. Cody Tripp also, I mean, he had 5-lap-old tires. Well, everyone on roughly the same, stint there. Jared Mogard out quickly. That might have just been a fuel stop, actually. I think it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say with roughly, well, now it's gonna be about 16 laps. Is fuel gonna be a concern? Do you think?
They might want to get a couple extra gallons in there just to make sure. I think that's what Mogard was doing.
I was gonna say, because that last run they went 20 some odd laps before they needed to stop. But I guess this could be an insurance stop, really, with how shaken up the field was.
But also, I think if you're going to come in, a lot of these guys took at least 2 tires. I would imagine that was the call for a lot of guys, just to fill up with fuel while you're taking those tires. It looks like same strategy for Josh Walker, Jack Wells, Connor Crichton. They all had fairly short pit stops. Brandon Miranda not going to get the wave around. He decides to come in here. So what is this going to do to the front row? Cody Tripp and Jared Mogard with old tires.
It looks like Brandon Anderson was he one of those drivers that went down pit road? It looks like he's dropped back down the running order, so I'm going to assume so.
It looks like a 4-tire stop for him as well. Scott Rickard might be the first driver on tires here. Crichton might have taken 2.
Well, definitely the field all kinds of shaken up here in the last 23 laps of this event, as we see a lot of different pit strategy going on here that's really upset the apple cart.
Definitely. It was a wild enough green flag pit sequence, and then the caution thrown conveniently right after to shake things up even more. But Cody Tripp finds himself on top of the board. Brandon Miranda getting a lap back there on the outside. Pace lights are out, so 1.54 miles more until a green flag on lap 92. We might be setting ourselves up here for a 22-lap sprint to the finish if it stays green.
Yeah, that's the operative. There is if it finishes under green. Quite a few cautions in this event, and a lot of hard racing too. So once we get closer to the end of the race, the intensity turns up, and we could see some interesting maneuvers.
You're definitely going to see drivers, especially back in the mid-pack of the standings, search for points as we are getting closer and closer to the chase.
And not to mention, Jared Mogard has been a constant up front, but he's got a whole new cast of characters to deal with.
And Cody Tripp, he's been starting third over and over, time and time again on these restarts. Well, now he moves up one row, not just a second. He moves up to the top position. Let's see how he does on this restart. Don't forget about Josh Walker. How about that story? Walker coming up to third. Green flag is out. Cody Tripp gets on the loud pedal as soon as possible. Mogard right behind him, falling in line. Walker and Wells side by side for third. A little bit of a cluster further back. They all try to get themselves shuffled out, sorted out, and lined up.
And Josh Walker in third, but he is far from secure in that spot. The 80 of Jack Wells searching around the banks, trying to find somewhere to go. And then he's got the 25 of Scott Rickard right on his tailgate as well.
Rickard goes to the bottom of Jack Wells. That's for fourth. Looking for that position. Behind him, it's Bushman, Crichton, Van Wazer, and Anderson. How about Cole Bushman going all the way to the bottom? We're going to have a 3 wide here on the backstretch. Down into turn number 3. Who can make it stick? Who's going to drop out early? Looks like everyone brave around turns 3 and 4 so far. Still 3 wide as they entered. How about as they exited? Looks like they're going to make it. At the line, it's going to be Bushman on the inside. Jack Wells in front of him.
And here comes Brandon Anderson in the mix as well. Ooh, contact into the wall. So Scott Rickard may be out of the picture here for a little bit as he makes contact with the outside wall. Brandon Anderson out to the inside of Cole Bushman for the 6th position.
Bushman gets shuffled to the outside here. Anderson still trying to find those spots that he lost early. Fighting his way back up through the field and onto the leaderboard. He finds his way into a top 5 for now. Behind him, they're side by side. Jake Van Wazer on the bottom in the 51. Connor Crichton on the outside. Now they stream down the backstretch in all sorts of different lines.
What a tremendous run by Brandon Anderson off of turn 2. And he's going to be able to claim 2 positions off of that run as he now moves to the inside of Jack Wells. That's going to put him up in the 4th spot.
Billy Kruska is well back and further back, trying to find his way up to the field. He's back in 9th. It is a headache back here. Everyone trying to keep their head on a swivel.
You know, all this going on, Nick, we missed a pass for the lead. Jared Mogard up back into the top spot.
Yeah, looks like he was able to get that done pretty early into the run. Around Tripp at the restart. Brandon Anderson trying to get around Josh Walker for 3rd. Just a stream, a parade of cars there, or trucks, I should say. Onto the backstretch. Anderson to the inside.
He's going to just about make it look easy as he now slides into the final podium spot. Going to open the door for Cole Bushman, too, as well.
Bushman on the inside and washing up a little bit. That's Walker on the outside. Oh, the 83 in front of him. Lap traffic. Going to cause a huge stack up here on the backstretch. Cars, trucks streaming down to the inside. Looks like everyone gets through cleanly. That's TJ McGuire, who is 3 laps down, trying to stay on the outside, but it's so hard to do that when people are 2 and 3 wide. Quite the scary moment there for a lot of drivers. Somehow they all come through unscathed.
Yeah, that at a track like this, when you have cars running all across the track, it can make for a pretty hairy situation when you have lapped cars trying to do the right thing and staying out of the way. But where exactly out of the way is really hard to figure out.
Yeah, somehow they're all okay. Mogard continues to lead the field. Tripp quite a ways behind him. Anderson in 3rd. by about another second. Bushman fourth, and Connor Crichton leading a follow the leader situation here for fifth. Jake Van Wazer continues his tear forward, looks to the bottom of Crichton down into turn 3. There's Billy Kruska to the outside wanting to join the action as well.
A tremendous battle for that 5th spot between those 3 trucks.
Brandon Anderson really coming up through the field pretty quickly. I want to report as well as we watch this battling behind him. Already closing in on Cody Tripp in front of him. We'll keep an eye on that and one eye on this.
Yeah, Kruska and Van Wazer still side by side for the position. Van Wazer now gets to the inside of Crichton for the other position, so that's going to be technically it's a battle for 5th, but really 5th through 7th, and then you have Todd Slauson hanging back there in 8th as well, not that far behind.
Kruska just about making it 3 wide there. Laps running down as well.
Oh, we got contact.
Sliding. Everyone trying to save it. Kruska spins. This is a pile up. This is a mess on the backstretch.
Gosh,
All started. Oh boy.
Looked like Crichton had it just about saved, but he had to check up so much, and then another truck came piling in there later on and sent him going there. You see him sideways.
Looks like
another truck piles into the back of him, and then it just chaos from there.
Looks like Van Wazer into Crichton. Kruska was pushing through them. Nowhere to go. Slauson behind him. Kruska trying to save it. The 80 of Jack Wells trying to avoid this all on the apron. Actually made it worse for Van Wazer. Kruska took a hard hit from Jody Banfield, who was still trying to recover a lap down from an earlier accident. Boy, oh boy.
And with that,
10 laps to go, they come into the pits.
You know, the timing and scoring was showing Brandon Anderson in the 2nd spot, but they were running on the track with Cody Tripp ahead of him as they came down pit road. Ooh, and Anderson slides through his pit.
It's the last thing he needs right now.
Yeah, pit road's been very challenging for Anderson all evening.
Looks like the 58 of Walker slides through just a little bit as well. Crichton in cleanly. Mogard's going to beat Tripp off pit road. Behind them, it looks to be Cole Bushman. Actually, I think he allowed Anderson to get in front of him.
Yeah, it looked like Bushman put on the brakes there at the end of pit road to allow Anderson to get by.
Usually we see that if someone's trying to get down to the inside. I'm wondering if Bushman didn't quite know where he was. Maybe he thought that was the strategy in that, or he wants to be on the outside.
I'm confused by his tactics.
I think he might have confused himself. It's going to be interesting to see. He'll be on the outside in 4th. Josh Walker behind him. Slid the stall just a little bit, but he comes out in 5th. Slauson will join him in row 3. So quite a bit of a mix-up here late in the race. This is definitely going to be the last green flag run we get, but will we finish under green is the next question.
Yeah, just waiting for everybody to come back around and have scoring kind of shake itself out here. Looks like it's Mogard leading over Tripp, and then Anderson and Bushman. And looks like Connor Boris may have given up hope there in that last run. He's now 27 laps down. Looks like he's done for the evening.
Yeah, I believe he's taking it behind the wall. Wanted to get a head start on traffic in the beating the parking lots out of here at Atlanta. So I think this is going to set us up for a 7-lap shootout if the pace lights go out here. Jared Mogard's been fast, even when he starts on the outside. It's going to be hard for anyone to catch him, but everyone taking 4 tires there. Fuel not a concern anymore, we've got to imagine.
It's time to get at her here in the late runnings of this event. Pace lights are out, so we're going green this time by.
It will be 7 laps to go. Mogard on the inside. Just to run it down one more time. Cody Tripp on the outside. Brandon Anderson, he's going for 3 wins in a row, but it's going to be difficult. He had a little bit of right front damage accumulated from an earlier accident. He sits in 3rd, but he's got a lot of speed and a lot of skill. Cole Bushman on the outside in the 2 truck. He's been quiet. He started back in 19th. He will be restarting 4th. Josh Walker and Todd Slauson making up row number 3. Van Wazer, Courtney behind him. Crichton and Wells, your top 10. 12 trucks on the lead lap. That's Kruska and Rickard right behind him. So coming through turn 3 and 4, you've got to imagine Mogard's going to continue with the trend of going as early as possible here, trying to stretch this out. He might not have to make it all the way either if he gets a caution. We will finish under yellow. But that caution's going to have to come 2 or 3 laps into this run, or we'll have a 1-lap shootout. Pace car pulls off, and it looks like we were right. Mogard going to go as early as possible. Cody Tripp slides down to the inside groove to try to get as much draft as he can on him, heading into turns 1 and 2. Anderson going to clear Bushman as well for 3rd. They sort themselves out and set themselves up for a final run.
Yeah, Mogard leaving nothing on the table with those restarts this evening. Has put the hammer down as quickly as he could, and it's worked out for him just about every time. Cody Tripp hangs with him, but he's only got a couple more shots at it as he gets a run off of turn 4.
Mogard slid up just a little bit there in turn 4 rather. That allowed Tripp to close in a little bit, but also it broke the draft. They've got lap traffic in terms of Jody Banfield in front of him. He's going to pull off down to the apron on the backstretch. No problem there. Mogard continuing to hold on to the lead. When he comes out of turn 4 and comes across the finish line, he'll have 5 laps to go.
So just a handful left. Tripp still searching around. He's right on the tailgate, going to get right to the back bumper on Mogard. Lets him continue on, but gosh, these guys are getting awfully close this late in the running.
We've had 3 different winners this year out of 4 rounds. Neither Mogard nor Tripp have been winners this year. They'd love to get rid of that goose egg in their W stat column. Here, Brandon Anderson would love to make it 3 in a row behind him if anything happens between these top 2, though. 4 laps to go. The 21 all over the back of the 00 Mogard.
Yeah, the 21 and Tripp basically shoving him off into the corner at this point. So we ride along with Brandon Anderson, taking a look off his hood towards the battle in front of him. He's got probably the best seat in the house right.
Yes, he does, and he's got a little bit of pressure from Cole Bushman behind him. We'll keep an eye on that, but 3 laps to go for the leaders. Cody Tripp continues to put the pressure on Mogard, but I don't know. I think Jared's looking pretty consistently fast and clean as well in that clean air.
Yeah, I worry that the 21 and Tripp may have missed his chance when he had Mogard pretty much hanging off of his bumper. Mogard slides up the track there a little bit off of 4, though. That's going to allow Tripp to get another run as we have just a pair of laps left.
It's just a 3-mile distance that these drivers have to cover now. 3 miles and shrinking. As they come on the backstretch for the penultimate time this evening, Mogard continues to lead. Speeds of over 180 miles an hour, trying to fend off Cody Tripp. Mogard, he's come close a couple times this year in the early goings, but he's looking for his first win tonight. White flag. Is there anything Cody Tripp has for him? Clean off of turn 2 for both of them. This is the last chance for Tripp to get a bit of a tow. He's got a good run. Is he going to be able to dive it down to the bottom? Is he going to be able to put the bumper to him? He does. Contact made, but it's only a boost to Mogard. It only helps him through turns 3 and 4. Coming off onto the front stretch, side by side at the line. Give it to Jared Mogard, his first win of the season in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series presented by Shine MSD. How about that finish?
Wow.
Great stuff. Anderson was also able to hold off Bushman for third. Van Wazer, quiet night for him, but he comes across in fifth behind. A lot of chaos, a lot of excitement, and it all boils down to a cool-down lap. That's going to give us an opportunity here on the Global Sim Racing Channel to step aside to break for just a second. We'll be back in just a moment with race rundown and all your driver interviews as well. Round 5 of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series presented by Shine MSD has just concluded here at Atlanta, but the broadcast has not. Let's take a look at the race results. Jared Mogard in the 00 machine by 0.087 seconds over Cody Tripp at the line. What a fantastic finish. Cody Tripp gave it all he had. Just comes up a position short tonight. Brandon Anderson going to finish behind him. Cole Bushman and Jake Van Wazer will round out the top 5. Josh Walker, he had a lot of speed. It's a great 6th place finish for him tonight. Your pole sitter, Connor Crichton, didn't really get it going after the start. He falls back to 7th. Jack Wells from 15th up to 8th. Slauson from 14th to 9th. And William Kruska going to finish in 10th tonight.
11th on the boards is Adam Courtney, with Scott Rickard coming home in 12th after contact with the wall a couple laps down. Jody Banfield with some pit stop issues recovers to finish 13th. 14th belongs to TJ McGuire with Brandon Miranda in 15th. Tyler Fody, 16th, did not finish, as well as Connor Boris, Danny Banfield, Joseph Mealy, Rory Gamble, and TJ Fields also on the DNF board.
So there you have it. Your 21 trucks run down, 11 of which finished on the lead lap. We've got to here Jared Mogard, I believe, in victory lane. Jared, congratulations on your win. That was a heck of a race and an even better finish.
Yeah, thank you. Finally, took long enough to get to victory lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We're mentioning that. such great results this year. Finally ended up in victory lane. Only round 5, but it feels like a finally. You're sitting 8th in the points, so definitely not locked into the playoffs quite yet. Is this a big boost, though, for you?
Yeah, for sure. Our results could be a lot better than what they have been. We're just stupid errors and things of that nature that have kept us from getting the results that we're really accustomed to in this double O ride. But felt pretty good to finally get it done here tonight. It was really good race.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see you fight your way up through the rest of the field for the rest of at least the regular season as of now. Anyone you want to give a thank you or a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, I got to thank Guy by Power Computers, Buffalo Bar and Grill, South Carolina, and Twitch Race Reports and all the boys on MOSRN. We, like I said, we're definitely used to a lot better finishes than what we've had over here, anyways, and feels really good. So thank you guys, and thank all the fans and everybody that puts the league on, and thank you guys for doing the broadcast for sure.
We love doing it, especially when we have some exciting finishes like that. You definitely made all your sponsors and teammates proud tonight, though, with that finish and that drive. So congratulations there, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
That was Jared Mogard there, and winner tonight, finally, like he said, getting that first win of the season. Cody Tripp finished second tonight, but only by 0.087 seconds. Chris, you've caught up with him.
Well, Cody, tremendous run this evening. Come up just a little bit short. When you got to his back bumper there a couple times, did you ever think about maybe just sending him for a ride, or was it better to finish second than win dirty?
Well, on the last lap, I think he backed up his entry a little bit, and I almost did send him by accident. But it was always going to be if I could get on the outside, I'd pass him cleanly. I don't race like that,
Very good to hear. Now you kind of found yourself there in the mix there at the end after that last pit stop that went bad for everybody else. Kind of tell us a little bit about your race and how everything came to you there.
Well, first off, I'm pretty new to iRacing, so I ran about 8 practice laps before the race, and I've been pretty consistent flying and running, but as the race went on, I knew I was learning the track a little bit more and more. Jared ended up getting out to like a 1.7 second lead on the new tires, and then able to learn the track enough to stick right on his bumper and almost get to him. So the whole race was about learning the track, and I almost got it, but maybe next week.
All right, and anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank for helping to make this ride possible today?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's mentioned it yet. Billy Kruska is a fantastic guy. I'm so grateful for him putting this league on and getting us on the stream. So the shout out goes to him. Really appreciate everything he does.
Very cool. Well, that was Cody Tripp, our second place finisher, having a great race and apparently pretty new to this track. So congratulations on a great run, Cody. And now I believe
there's Cody Tripp in second place, like you said, and we've caught up with Brandon Anderson in third. Brandon, you weren't quite able to make it 3 in a row tonight, but you gave it a heck of a shot. We have a copy there, Brandon. Might be sorting out some technical difficulties. Let's see if Brandon can get it sorted out. Definitely a great run for Brandon tonight, but I don't know if he's going to be able to come in for an interview. All right, not going to be able to talk to Brandon tonight, it looks like, unfortunately, but nonetheless, a great run for him. So that's going to do it for us this evening. We're going to wrap things up. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out tonight for the 5th round of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series presented by Shine MSD. Especially everyone who helps in the organization and behind the scenes logistics over at SR4MH. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Chris, Joe, and Dougie. make sure to check out the GSRC on social media. You can do that at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course, you're already on our YouTube channel, so if you're not already, I suggest you scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. That's going to do it for the racing tonight here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series. The racers will be back on track for the next few weeks at Kansas and Daytona, but they'll be back on the air here on the Global Sim Racing Channel in 3 weeks' time for the regular season finale. That's going to be at ISM Raceway down in Phoenix. It's going to be Wednesday, June 5th at 10:30 Eastern. Make sure to mark that down on your calendar and come join us for some great playoff scenario drama and some great racing as well. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.